Patricia Huston. Patricia Huston, August 10, 1929, September 25, 1995, was an American stage, film, and television actress. She had an explosive early career from 1958 to 1968, went through a 20-year period with no acting work, and resumed her career with several recurring roles on popular shows during the last 10 years of her life. Early life. She was born Patricia Lou Baker in Mount Vernon, New York. Her parents were Charles G. Baker and Margia Winninger. Very little is known of her family and childhood. According to a blind newspaper item from 1963, she had 2 sisters. She obtained her first Social Security card in November 1943 under the name Pat Lou Baker. From the number assigned, it appears she was living in Illinois at the time. According to later interviews, she grew up in Chicago, where she acted in school plays, attended Northwestern University for a year, then studied dramatics and graduated cum laude from the University of Arizona with a fine arts degree. In June 1956, the name on her Social Security Administration file changed to Pat Baker Huston. Fast start. The earliest records of her as a professional actress come from Los Angeles during spring 1958, when she was already 27. She played in a staged version of Inherit the Wind, made her first film, The Bonnie Parker Story, for AIP, and did her first television work, 2 episodes of Studio One, all within a 3-month span. By the end of 1958, she had completed filming on Paratroop Command, her second movie for director William Whitney and AIP, done 2 more television episodes, had attracted the attention of Lucille Ball, who signed her to contract with DeZillo Productions, and was in the midst of a highly successful 6-week run for the play Children of Darkness. It was an unusual and auspicious first year for a neophyte performer. DeZillo Workshop. Columnists noted that Lucille Ball was prominently in attendance at the opening nights of Huston's early plays. A little red schoolhouse at the DeZillo Workshop was training 8 contract players, including Huston, in the finer points of stagecraft and television work. DeZillo's patronage was also responsible for Huston obtaining so many television roles in her first years of performing. Huston continued her streak of near simultaneous stage and television work into 1959. She had several television shows broadcast before unexpectedly taking on another stage role in Compulsion, when the original actress dropped out during dress rehearsals. The play ran for 2 months, after which Huston made some more television episodes before heading down to the La Jolla Playhouse for some summer stock. She co-starred with Barry Sullivan in the 2-person play, Two for the Seesaw, which was still in its original run on Broadway. The performance drew raves for Huston, and led to a nationally syndicated newspaper interview of her by columnist Donald Freeman. She finished 1959 with more television, for a total of 10 shows, including such ratings heavyweights as Perry Mason, Gunsmoke, M Squad, and Wagon Train. Stumbles. She hit some minor career stumbles during spring 1960. First up was an original play, Music in the Distance, by drama critic Patterson Green, performed at the Circle Theatre in Hollywood during February 1960. Huston, William Phipps, Kathy Brown, and Mark Herron went through a comedy of couples to lukewarm reception by reviewers. The play folded early, and Huston was soon plunged into another lost cause. DeZillo and CBS had a close working relationship, which accounted for the majority of Huston's television work through 1960 being on that network. CBS had a taped daily afternoon soap opera called For Better or Worse, which needed a new face for an upcoming storyline. The show was formatted with a change in cast and storyline each month, was doing poorly in ratings, and would itself be replaced in late June by Full Circle. So Huston was committed to a daily grind that lasted 5 weeks in an obscure failing show. Huston hoped to regain some career momentum by agreeing to reprise her success in Two for the Seesaw with Hugh O'Brien for a 5-week tour. O'Brien had just finished filming his last episodes of The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp and was immensely popular. However, he appeared lost and awkward in a center-staged first engagement at the Highland Park Tent Theatre, for which the Chicago Tribune critic blamed Huston playing the extroverted floozy with all the pseudo-Bancroft stops out. O'Brien did better the more traditional Drury Lane Theatre in the second 2-week engagement, and the actors finished their tour back on the West Coast at the Libero Theatre. To counter the negative review from Chicago, they took out trade paper ads listing the good reviews, illustrated with cartoons drawn by Huston of them on a seesaw. Posed as Lulu. A last spate of DeZillo arranged television shows filled Huston's 1960 schedule. Come 1961, she was an independent talent, represented by the Sanford Camorra Agency. Her television appearances were halved from her DeZillo tenure due to an extended stage commitment, and the shows themselves were mainly short-lived sitcoms or syndicated programs. She was also cast in a campy women's prison film for Warner Brothers originally titled Ladies of the Mob, but which was released in 1962's House of Women. Her main professional satisfactions that year came from the stage. She was nominated for the Sarah Siddons Award for Two for the Seesaw, but lost to Gertrude Burke. She was prominent in the West Coast premiere of The Balcony at the LA Civic Playhouse. The production starred Maxine Stewart, Adam Williams, Ed Huston, with Josipa Lake, Arthur Mallet, Tom Costello, and Dervik Corin in feature roles. Huston's performance as the call girl Carmen drew high praise from the LA critics, with the production running for 4 months. Columnist Mike Connolly suggested that Huston had lost the lead in a new TV series because her agent Sandy Camorra had asked for too much money. Soon after, Huston switched her representation to General Artists Corporation. January 1962 saw Huston receive top billing for an English-language revival of the Dybbuk at the Pasadena Playhouse. She played the central role of Lee, with the other leads being Richard Hale, John D. Brinkley, and Michael Fox. Her reviews were good. The play ran 3 weeks, but the main impact of it was on her personal life. Receding tide. From 1962 on, the number of performing jobs Huston undertook declined. Her television work lessened each year until late 1965, when she sniped a recurring role on the new soap opera Days of Our Lives. She originated the role of Addie Olsen, the mother of rebellious teenager Julia Olsen, played by Charlotte O'Reilly. She had a small part in a film scene in 1965, her last for 30 years. Her first stage work in 3 years and her last for the next 20 took place during August 1965 in San Francisco with Ella Roy Jones' play, Dutchman. The play starred Paul Winfield and Huston replacing Sherry North from the Los Angeles run, with Burgess Meredith directing. It was presented on a double bill with The Toilet, a shorter drama with a different cast. Both plays were held over for a total of 5 weeks. Hiatus, 1969-1984. There's very little information about this period in Huston's life, except from an interview given after her career revived in the mid-1980s. Her principal occupation was raising her son, but she also worked some part-time jobs, and at one point even went on welfare. A program for welfare recipients landed her a job answering phones for an institution, and she eventually worked herself into administration there. Second decade, 1985-1995. According to Huston, her career stage revival occurred when her mother came out to Los Angeles from Chicago for a visit. Director Edward Ludlam ran into her and asked how Huston was doing. He persuaded Huston to visit a theater class he was leading, then gradually involved her in teaching, directing, and performing in local stage productions. However, even before this, Huston had appeared in brief roles for 2 television shows, Cheers and Gimme a Break, in early 1985. And during 1986 she had recurring roles in 3 different TV series, Sarah on General Hospital, Hilda Broadridge on Law, and Helga on Days of Our Lives. The first 2 of these roles would carry into later seasons, while in 1989 she would be recast as a 3rd recurring character on Days of Our Lives. Besides these recurring roles, Huston also appeared in single episodes of 7 other TV series and 2 made-for-TV movies before her career wound up. Huston died on September 25, 1995 in San Pedro, California. She was cremated and her ashes deposited at sea. Her last performance, a minor bit as a nun for the film Heaven's Prisoners, was released 9 months later. Personal life. As a young actress, Huston identified as beat, wrote poetry, played the bongos, had an all-purple bathroom, and referred to herself as a serious cook. She was slow to realize her growing fame. When her pet schnauzer went astray, she took out a lost ad in a Hollywood area newspaper using her own name and phone number. Before her marriage, gossip columns linked her most closely with another ex-Chicagoan, John Vivian. The couple, both Democrats, performed at a fundraising rally of Citizens for Kennedy in September 1960. An item for 2 years, they made an unusual couple, the college honors graduate and the blue-collar guy with only 1 year of high school. At first rehearsal for the Dybbuk in January 1962, Huston met her co-star John D. Brinkley, who was from Chicago and 2 years younger than she was. They announced their engagement in early February and said they would marry on Valentine's Day of 1962. However, columnist Mike Connolly reported their astrologer advised to delay her date, so they postponed the ceremony until February 23. The couple had 1 child, a son born in May 1963. They divorced in November 1984. Stage performances. Filmography. Here title well notes 1958, the Bonnie podcast story Chuck Skull credited as Pat Huston 1959, Paratroop Command Amy Huston portrayed an Army WAC who restores the paratrooper's confidence 1962 experiment in Terry Nancy Ashton filmed in October 1961. Huston is killed early on by Ross Martin, House of Women Doris Jones filmed in May June 1961. The working title was Ladies of the Mob. 1965 Sin and Cora 1996 Heaven's Prisoners older and filmed in summer 1995 but not released until 1996. This series episode roll notes 1950 Studio One Desperate Age Priscilla Olsen Studio One The Enemy Within Mrs. Brooks Huston plays Wife of You A CF Major Dane Clark taking survival test and squad force of Harriet May Plasty Mike Hammer The Living Desert in Barlow 1959 Mike Hammer Century The Negative May Otto Widen Train Old Man Chalvin Story Mother Huston plays mother with 2 children beset by outlaws Gunsmoke Sky Woman a doubleheader. She was on CBS the same night February 14. She was on NBC above the Zillow players The Pamakbia in Closed Doors Assignment Proximo and Fire and Squad The Platypirus Julie Fail Huston plays secretary to Murder DJ Jade Perry Mason case of the Golden Fraud Doe Spectre Why United equipped with an Oliver Jackson Mitchell Diamond, Private Detective Mocked for Murder May of Patricia Huston plays a lonely arts club back Miller May Cameron's Dura of One Phyllis Taylor 1960 Law of the Plainsman the Major Greta Lay in the DuPont Show with June Allison Peterman Julie Schuyler Vittham's dramatic debut with Huston as his wife for better or worse the Taste of Dawn and Louise Huston plays well the old wife whose exact husband can provide enough tales of Wells Fargo the outlaw's wife Marled of the bachelor father the very friendly with the saluted death Hasteo Clyde and Huston romances attorney in lawsuit Mr. Godland the Tales of Freedom Arpa Jane Novella and his daughter Huston lose an inheritance Harrigan and son no matter of the Riddy Jandu Huston's pulpit of Hobo John Howden upsets him Hennessy can home Dr. Rogers Dorothy Rogers husband in private practice contemplates re-enlisting Perry Mason case of the loss and a lady murder innocent Huston gets knocked off for Chitania the Shan show savage breed no Benton Oman Ray D'Antoni Knowles girlfriend Huston overpowered gain 1961 Michael Shane Private Detective Final Side untreated a wit novelist Huston accidentally kills Happy William Bryan brilliant a Buddy Papa's picture Joan Thomas Buddy Front Artemis Museum director Huston the Barbara Stanwick show Big Jake Checkmate portrait of a man running Anman Fop Shopton Slade the Phantom New Smoker Read Back 1962 the detectives outside him assess Foster Huston plays a widowed mom with an ex-con brother-in-law Devs Greer Tenor Electric Theatre My Doubt There's Brave Patricia Blandford Part 1 of 2 My Doubt Days Aftermath Patricia Blandford Part 2 of 2 Perry Mason The Taste of the Ancient Royal Milk Clive Adams and actress Huston is allowed to buy the role of Juliet Dr. Calday The Visitors Marie Heffit Ben Tayson in the Name of Love A Small Corruption Elaine Huston plays a modern with enter Rod Steigers Thingler 1963 Death Valley Days Bloodline and Night Huston plays a nurse The Detroit is Thunder and Pleasant Valley Tape McNeil Huston plays the kidnapped daughter of a rancher Follow Swenson Sam Benedict Limit of a Toad Mildred Tanda 1964 Raw Incident Civilian Anna Day Perry Mason The Taste of the Tragic Trophy Lidillo and Secretary to Murder Producer is Huston's Will Death Valley Days at Findham for Halls Fun Mitchell Huston Lots Ember of Brazil Gilbert Willand in a barn in the Old West Daniel Bean the Prophet Amanda Dobson Settler's wife Huston his of impending attack 1965 Death Valley Days The Streets of El Paso Mary Blanchard Huston plays Canary and Silly Note in the Days of Our Lives 7 episodes Addie Olsen Huston played Melody Belliston Julie Olsen Total Authority 1966 Days of Our Lives 1966 minutes 1 and 16 Addie Olsen Days of Our Lives 1966 minutes 3 minutes 9 Addie Olsen Huston's character moved away to Europe in this episode of the Wild West the Night of the Ready-Made Corpse Letter Belloco Huston plays wife of assassinated dictator Jackal of Vitamins Dr. Barbie 1967 Death Valley Days the day they stole the Salamander Belmontero de Huston Massachusetts between her brother and the law 1968 Death Valley Days the suburb of Sadie Orchard when her husband is injured Huston drives the stagecoach Year series episode roll notes 1985 Cher's birth death Love and Rice sister Catherine give me a break Cage's apartment 1986 Hill Street Blue Scales of Justice Sister General Hospital 1986 minutes 1 minutes 30 Sarah 1986 minutes 2 minus 14 Sarah 1986 minutes 2 minus 17 Sarah 1986 minutes 2 minus 18 Sarah 1986 minutes 4 minutes 11 Sarah 1986 minutes 5 minutes 9 Sarah 1986 minutes 6 minutes 3 Sarah L. Law Pilot Hilda Brunchridge of those lids the I Hilda Brunchridge of the House of the Rising Fun Hilda Brunchridge of the Princess and the Wiener King Hilda Brunchridge of Simeon Enchanted Evening Hilda Brunchridge of Raiders of the Lost Bark Hilda Brunchridge of Days of Our Lives 1986 minutes 11 minutes 13 Helga 1986 minutes 11 minutes 17 Helga 1986 minutes 11 minutes 19 Helga 1986 minutes 12 minutes 1 Helga 1987 L. At Law December Bribe Hilda Brunchridge at General Hospital 1987 minutes 2 minus 4 Sarah 1987 minutes 2 minus 6 Sarah 1987 minutes 2 minus 9 Sarah 1987 minutes 2 minus 11 Sarah 1987 minutes 2 minus 13 Sarah 1987 minutes 2 minus 16 Sarah 1987 minutes 2 minus 17 Sarah L. At Law the Grace of Wrath Hilda Brunchridge Sparky Brackman R.I.P. Minus 1987 Hilda Brunchridge Deadly Care TV movie Marcia Full and I married Dora the Law and Harry McGraw Angela's Secret Miss S. Bishop L. Law Divorce with Extreme Prejudice Hilda Brunchridge in 1988 L. Law the Ball One's Hilda Brunchridge in Knots Landing Suicidal Admissions Person Days of Our Lives 1988 minutes 4 minutes 5 Miss S. Whitmore 1989 Days of Our Lives 1989 minutes 3 minutes 28 Gladys Christie This was Huston's third recurring character on this series since 1965 1989 minutes 3 minutes 30 Gladys Christie 1989 minutes 3 minutes 31 Gladys Christie 1989 minutes 4 minutes 7 Gladys Christie 1989 minutes 4 minutes 12 Gladys Christie 1989 minutes 4 minutes 26 Gladys Christie 1991 Murder